Alright, so welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to be dealing on quadratic equation. Quadratic equations are second-degree polynomial equations, which means that the highest power of x cannot be greater than 2. The typical form of a quadratic equation is ax raised to power 2 plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Here you can see clearly that the highest power of x is not greater than 2. A is the coefficient of x squared. And then b is the coefficient of x. And c is known as constant term or constant. Now let's consider the methods of solving a quadratic equation. There are 4 methods of solving a quadratic equation. The first method is known as the general method or factorization method. And then the second method is known as completing the square method. Thirdly, we have the formula method. And then the fourth method is known as the graphical method. In this class, we are going to be considering the general or factorization method alone. Now let's solve an example. Example 1. Solve x squared minus 9x plus 18 equal to 0. Now, the first step in solving this problem using factorization method is this. Look for 2 numbers that you will add up to get the middle term, which is negative 9x, and multiply to get the last term, which is positive 18. Now, the 2 numbers here is negative 6 and negative 3. If you add negative 6 to negative 3, it will give you negative 9. And then if you multiply negative 6 and negative 3, it will give you positive 18. Our next task here is to use them to replace the middle term. So here we have x squared minus 6x minus 3x plus 18 equal to 0. You can see that we've replaced negative 9x with 6 and 3. The third task here is to factorize. Now let's take a number or variable which is common to the both terms. The most common term here is x. So bring out x. X into x squared, we are left with x. X into 6x, we are left with 6. And then minus another term that is common to 3 and 18 is 3. 3 into 3x, we are left with x. 3 into 18, we are left with 6. And then equal to 0. Our next task here is to pick the 2 terms outside the bracket and multiply one of the brackets. So we'll pick x and -3. So we have x minus 3, and then we'll multiply one of the brackets. So here we have x minus 6 equal to 0. Our next task here is to equate each of the brackets to 0. So here we have x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then x minus 6 is equal to 0. So now let's make x the subject formula here. X equals, if you move -3 to the right hand side, it becomes +3. And then over to this side, x equals, if you move -6 to the right hand side, it becomes +6. So therefore x is equal to 3 or 6. So this is our final answer. All right, let's consider another example. It says solve x squared plus 3x minus 28 equal to 0 using factorization method. Remember, our first task is to look for two terms that you will add up to get the middle term, which is +3, and then multiply to get the last term, which is -28. And the two terms are +7 and -4. If you add +7 to -4, you'll be left with +3. And then if you multiply +7 with -4, it would give you -28. So our next task here is to use them to replace the middle term. So we have x squared plus 7x minus 4x minus 28 equal to 0. So now let's factorize. Take a number or variable that is common to the both terms. So the most common term here is x, open bracket, x into x squared, we are left with x. X into 7x, we are left with 7. And then minus 4, open bracket, 4 into 4x, we are left with x. 4 into 28, we are left with 7. And then equal to 0. So our next task here is to pick the two terms outside the bracket and multiply one of the brackets. So here we have x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 7 and then equal to 0. Our next task here is to equate each of the brackets to 0. So here we have x minus 4 is equal to 0, and then x plus 7 is equal to 0. Now let's make x the subject formula. We have x is equal to, if you move -4 to the right hand side, it becomes +4. And then over here, x is equal to, if you move +7 to the right hand side, it becomes -7. So therefore, x is equal to 4 or -7. So this is our final answer.